Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're uncovering a hidden economic tug-of-war that literally dictates the cost of building our modern world. I am so incredibly excited to share this with you, mostly because the data we're going to look at reveals a side of global economics that is completely hidden in plain sight. So let's dive right in with a massive question. Considering steel is in our cars, our buildings, our bridges, and our infrastructure, who actually pulls the strings on its cost? You'd naturally think it's the car manufacturers, the construction giants, or maybe even the steel mills themselves. But the truth goes much deeper underground.
The real answer lies in metallurgical, or coking coal. This is a commodity with very few substitutes, and it is absolutely essential for blast furnace steel production. It's the irreplaceable, hidden fuel of the global steel industry. Without it, the modern world basically stops being built.
Section 1. When buyers ruled. The era of oligopoly.
You see, the power dynamics of who controls this crucial coal have completely flipped over the last few decades. To understand the market back in the 1990s, we really need to grasp this concept of an oligopoly. Basically, it's the exact reverse of a monopoly. Instead of one dominant seller, you have a very small number of incredibly powerful buyers. And this gives those buyers extraordinary power to dictate terms and prices to the sellers.
Historical research shows us exactly how this played out. A cartel of Japanese, South Korean, and Taiwanese steel mills used to negotiate all their coal purchases in groups. By banding together like this, they acted as a massive, unified oligopoly, essentially bullying the suppliers into submission.
Economic modeling from 1996 proves just how effective this was. The data shows this all-consumer oligopoly successfully drove world coking coal prices and trade volumes significantly lower than what we would see under perfect, healthy competition. This buyer's cartel meant lower global prices and heavily squeezed coal producers.
Section 2. The Asian demand shock, a market disruption.
So tracking the timeline, that buyer's cartel kept prices artificially low all throughout the 1990s. But then, right around 2004, the dominance of those traditional buyers was totally shattered. A severe supply crisis hit the market. Unprecedented demand from China and India surged, leading to these crazy, severe price spikes globally between 2008 and 2010.
This sudden, almost insatiable demand for steel from booming emerging economies meant the coal sellers no longer had to bow down to their traditional Japanese, Korean, and Taiwanese buyers. The old rigid one-to-one deals between specific mines and specific mills were completely shattered. The market leverage shifted practically overnight.
The data pinpoints the exact moment the tug-of-war rope slipped out of the buyer's hands. As globalized demand exploded and geopolitics shifted, the historical buying power of that old Asian cartel was destroyed. Suddenly, the sellers had a line of new customers absolutely desperate for their product right out the door.
Section 3. Rise of the Big Four, from buyers to sellers.
With the buyer's cartel broken, the sellers realized they now had the upper hand. It's fascinating to contrast the 1996 buyer-controlled market with the absolute seller supremacy that took hold by 2008. The entire structure of global resource distribution was flipped on its head.
We move straight from an oligopoly to an oligopoly. That's a market structure controlled by a tiny group of sellers, giving them immense power to set prices and dictate supply. The coal suppliers were no longer price takers, they were now the price makers.
And to really grasp just how concentrated this power is today, consider this. Astonishingly, the entire Australian coal export market, which is the second largest in the world and absolutely vital to Asian steel production, is comprised of only 22 sellers. Just 22.
But wait, it gets even more consolidated than that. Roughly half of the entire global metallurgical coal export capacity is controlled by just 4 mining giants: BHP Billiton, Rio Tinto, Anglo-American, and Xstrata. Half of the market rests firmly in the hands of this Big Four.
Section 4. The Game of Coal, Strategic Market Moves.
To understand how these 4 companies manipulate the global price of steel, we have to look at their game theory. Because what happens here isn't random, it is highly strategic. It's often modeled as the Stackelberg model. Here's how it plays out. Dominant first movers, like the Big Four, set the rules by locking in massive export targets. Smaller fringe producers have zero choice but to react to those volumes. And because buyers are cornered with nowhere else to go for this coal, global prices rise artificially.
And hey, this isn't just academic theory.
Researchers ran the hard data from those 2008 price spikes through rigorous economic models. They found that perfect competition utterly failed to explain the real-world market outcomes. The only way the math actually worked was if the players were engaging in strategic, non-competitive behaviors.
The data proves these corporations, and even entire nations like China and Indonesia, are acting strategically. The market functions as a non-cooperative Corno game, meaning dominant players compete by strategically and simultaneously setting the amount they produce. Fascinatingly, some national players might even strategically withhold their domestic supply to artificially inflate the global benchmark prices, securing way higher revenues for their own economies.
Section 5. Who pays the price? The cost to the economy.
So why does the strategic game theory of a few mining giants in Australia or export quotas in Asia actually matter to you and me? Well, a stark quote from the German Coal Importers Association back in 2011 really hits the nail on the head. They noted that this tight oligopoly exercises immense power over the fundamental building block of the global economy, dictating prices with relatively little effort.
Because coking coal is highly inelastic, meaning steel mills literally must buy it regardless of the price just to keep their blast furnaces running, that inflated cost doesn't just evaporate. When the Big Four inflate coal prices, the cost of global infrastructure, vehicles, and consumer goods goes right up with it. That artificially inflated cost trickles down into every single product made of steel that you purchase.
This explainer pulls back the curtain on just one hidden market, but it really leaves us wondering, as nations and megacorporations continue to play these strategic games, what other obscure commodities are being manipulated right behind the scenes? And ultimately, who is truly paying the price? Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and keep questioning the hidden forces that shape our world.